as some of you may notice, that BBC Radio 4 will be switching off its longwave service by the end of 2026. And some listeners who rely on the service would be affected by it. Basically, what it says, what I just read today, that BBC Radio 4's longwave service will be closing later this year. Before the service ends, listeners will receive at least 2 months notice, and they will broadcast daily on-air reminders to help everyone switch to other ways of listening. Given that why the longwave service is closing, it's said that the company that owns and operates the longwave broadcast equipment has now confirmed that the system is reaching the end of its life, as longwave is such an old broadcasting technology. In recent years, longwave has seen a decline in listener numbers, with the majority now opting for FM, DAB, and streaming services. Given that these factors, that upgrading the longwave equipment is not considered a cost-effective solution for license fee-funded services. And to support listeners through that change, BBC would ensure that the transition from longwave is smooth as possible. That BBC would produce comprehensive guidance on alternative ways to listen through our website and helpline, to outline the alternative methods for accessing the BBC Radio 4 content. And some older electricity meters use a system called the Radio Teleswitching Service, RTS, that is carried within the longwave signal. This service is run by the energy industry, not the BBC. If you do need advice about replacing or upgrading an RTS meter, you will need to contact your energy supplier or the relevant energy regulator. The BBC doesn't control or manage the RTS system. Sorry. And looking back at that, on the Daily Express, which I looked on Facebook, it says that the shop closure and fans are devastated for this. They started a petition to protest the news that it has announced that the Radio 4 longwave service would close before the end of 2026, and many of the fans have been left with mixed feelings, and it says that longwave, also known as LW, is such an old but reliable way of broadcasting. But it said, as of before, in recent years, it's been replaced by FM, DAB, and streaming services, and smart speakers as well. And it says here on the BBC website as well, which I just saw earlier, So basically, these fans who rely on the long wave have started a petition to protest the news. So basically, the reason why that they are closing this technology, BBC Radio 4 is going to close its long wave transmitter. BBC Radio 4 will cease transmission on long wave probably on the September the 26th, 2026. After like 90 years of service, the transmissions from the Droitwich transmitter, which operated since the 1930s, it should be expected to switch off probably by the 26th of September 2026. That's what it says there. So basically, the opposition of that, about over 7,000 people have signed a petition to keep the service. But, basically, on what it is now, not everyone who supports this closure of the long wave service, but the closure of the long wave equipment, the long wave service on BBC Radio 4 is that the long wave equipment is now at the end of its life, and upgrading is not being cost effective. So basically that covers everything.